Electric trains. We loved them as kids, and adults have been building incredible layouts forever. But I recently discovered a not-so-new twist to this iconic hobby. So all aboard the Collector Guys Express. Next stop, model train shows, where we learn all about layouts made entirely out of Lego.
Collector Guys.
Train sets fascinate me. They always have. I've always wanted to build one of those massive, really detailed layouts. You know, the kind that fill up an entire room. But I've never had the space or the time. So a while back, I started working on a video about this hobby. For research, I checked out some model train shows. It was there that I noticed something that had a whole different feel. Over in the corner, separated from the classic builders, was the Lego layout.
Not a lot of people know that Lego even makes trains. And as a matter of fact, it's the only consistent line they've had, and it's been since the mid-60s. Everything else comes and goes. Trains have always been there.
Now, don't get me wrong, the traditional sets are amazing. But here's the difference. Their world is mostly based on accurate, real-life detail, where the Legos feel more whimsical, bright, colorful, and wildly creative. Magical forests, amazing dioramas, along with traditional buildings recreated with amazing accuracy. There was even a Whataburger. If you're unfamiliar with Lego trains, everything in these layouts are made with Legos, and I mean everything, even the engines, many built completely from scratch.
The engines that we run here, the nickel plate right here, that one's mine. So yeah, that's a scratch built, just looking at pictures and coming up with everything from the ground up.
While the actual Lego produced engines can have some very unique features of their own.
So that's an actual Lego train, and I wouldn't take that apart because it's interesting. This color right here is called Maersk blue, and Maersk has actually copyrighted that color, and they will sue you if you use it. So Lego gets to use it only under license, but look, so you'll see this color nowhere else, but look how few bricks they give you. So there would be no reason to ever take that apart. Not only is it beautiful, but now I keep all my Maersk blue together.
And these buildings not only have incredible detail on the outside, but the insides can be equally amazing.
This one was actually a previous building which I called a beach house, and it was unfinished. And I showed it to one of my club members, and they were like, you know, hey, that looks like a museum. You should make that into a museum. So I had about a month into it at that point, and then I tore most of it apart and built it anew. I've got about 3 months development in this. Lego in general is very frustrating and very, very satisfying when you get it, because it takes a long time to tweak it and get it right. So when it's done and you get it, it's extremely satisfying, very much so.
To find out more about this hobby, we talked to Lego builder Edward Chang. Are the trains themselves made of Legos?
Yes, trains are Lego. They use Lego motors. The battery packs from Lego. Track is from Lego. You know, there's very few parts that are really train parts. They're just general parts that we use, Lego parts like all the other Lego parts. So there are Lego train sets that you can buy. They release new sets about every year. There's 2 sets within the city sub-theme of Lego sets, so they fit with more just kind of the typical train. And then from time to time, they will also have more kind of unique trains or standalone trains. There's a Hogwarts Express model that they just announced or just went on sale. So.
And what gauge would this be considered?
It's based on Lego's dimensions. We call it L gauge, and it just has to do with the size of Lego's track. It's close to O scale or O gauge. The track is slightly wider than O gauge, but it's what we call the track rails are 6 studs apart, or it's about 48 millimeter.
Okay, so why Legos? What is the benefit of having a Lego train set versus an N-gauge or an HO or a Lionel?
Well, it's just a different kind of medium for doing it. You know, we like building Lego, not just trains, but castle and spaceships and things like that. And it's one of those kind of childhood memories, and getting to relive that. But also there's you know, there's a degree of creativity and freedom, especially for us. We're building stuff that doesn't come with instructions. We're building it based on our own imagination, or for the more kind of scale model type stuff, we're basically scratch building. We're looking at blueprints and and elevation drawings and things like that, and then scaling it down and finding the pieces to build whatever shape that we're trying to do. So it's a little bit different than a lot of, I think, some of the traditional model railroaders. I guess we're a little bit closer to doing more like scratch building when we do our scale model trains.
So really, your imagination is you could go as far as your imagination could go on these, right?
Right. There's really no limit, and we can build realistic trains, we can build fantasy trains. There's a little of both on our layout. So
the great thing about train shows like this is that these displays are the result of a number of different hobbyists, usually part of a club, combining their builds to make one large layout.
So this is a club effort. We've got about 8 or 10 people contributing to the display here this weekend. But there's a planning process that we use ahead of time. For several weeks ahead of time, we're looking at the space that we're given and who's coming and just the kinds of things that we feel like displaying. So the layout is different at every show. This is the first and only time that will be set up exactly like this. The buildings may be shuffled around. We'll use different track patterns. We'll have different kinds of bridges that we can use just depending on what we feel like displaying.
We do what's called mocks, my own creation. And so 95% of what you're going to see on this, our club display, which is from that end all the way to that end, about 20 people, we all create our own things. You'll see very, very few things that are actual Lego. So we definitely come in with as much pre-built as possible, but like all the track gets laid every single time for sure. And every single show, because it depends on who's going to be here and what they're bringing. Everyone is individual, everyone is different. You'll never see this kind of layout again. When you're at an event like this and you have all your traditional train guys, has the Lego train world got the same kind of cred as these old school guys here, or how do they feel about you?
We're working on it. So there's a range of reactions that we get. I mean, there are some guys that come around and look at it and just see it as a toy. There are people that complain that it's too shiny. But I think there's a growing number of people that do recognize that what we do can be very similar to what they're doing, just in a different, it's a kind of different medium, because of, for example, the scale model trains that we build. It's a lot of research that goes into it, and it's the same thing that the other scratch builders do as far as what we have to do, except that we're a little more constrained as to what shapes we're willing to use, using different Lego pieces to make the trains.
So if you haven't checked out a train show, you should. Just go online and see if there are any near you. They are usually inexpensive, if not free. And like we said, the kids love them, and you will too.
Yeah, it always seems to be a pretty popular display, so it makes us happy to see people enjoy it.
Okay, are you ready to start building your own Lego train set? Before you do, let's hear what advice these brick builders have for beginners.
If you've never built a Lego set at all, then I would suggest starting with one of the Lego train sets. If you're very familiar with Lego, it may help to at least build a train set just to get familiar with the way that the train wheels might interact, trying to get a feel for the mechanics of it. And then beyond that, there's a lot of just looking at what other people are doing. That's what we do. Copy everybody else's ideas, take a little from here, take a little from there. There are some people, Lego fans, that have made unofficial instruction kits, or a few people have made actual kits that come with all the bricks that you can buy too. It's a little bit more pricey than what you might expect a Lego set, but there are people who will share instructions, and that's another starting point that you could go from.
Lego train builders, part mechanical engineers, part fine artists, creating these ever-changing designs from scratch. Living, breathing displays put together one little brick at a time. Special thanks to the Texas Brick Railroad for their contributions to this video. To learn more, go to texasbrickrr.com. Thank you for watching Collector Guys. Would love to see your comments below. Please hit subscribe, and always remember, surround yourself with what you love.